Welcome everyone to this exciting event where the MMRF announces that we have hit the halfway mark of our $100 million campaign and are going public. Now everyone can contribute. I'm Carl Quintanilla of CNBC. I'm a longtime member of the MMRF Honorary Board. I'm thrilled to be here today. We're going to hear from Kathy Giusti, the founder, executive chairman of the board, of course, number 19 on the Forbes list of the world's greatest leaders and an MM patient. We'll hear from Walter Capone, president and CEO of the MMRF, more than 25 years of drug development experience in cancer and infectious disease, and Paul Giusti, the chairman of the MMRF campaign and entrepreneur in his own right. The MMRF is considered one of the most successful research foundations for recognizing the shortcomings of the current research enterprise and built a new system to bring much needed speed to cancer drug development. The results to date have been astounding, and what you'll hear today is simply incredible. We're thrilled to first speak to Kathy about the extraordinary achievements of this organization and why the MMRF is launching this campaign now. Kathy, it's so good to see you.
Good to see you too.
What is it about this group that makes it so successful?
Oh my gosh, I have to say it's the entire myeloma community that has been amazing working together. I think when you look at the MMRF though, there are three things that are incredible about the work we do. First is we knew that myeloma was uncommon, so you had to build collaboration, so you built critical mass, get all of the academic centers and doctors working together to put speed in the system. And the second thing is that we've always run it like a Fortune 500 company. You can relate to that. We all know our milestones and our metrics and what our plans are asking us to do, and we go after them. And then the third is that we are patient-focused. We really understand patients want to see a cure in their lifetime. We have to be urgent and sometimes take a little risk to get there.
You've got so much to be proud of. What are you most proud of at this point?
I would say it's probably the fact that we have transformed the way that cancer research is done. And by building these amazing collaborative models that so many groups can follow, the results have been clear. The numbers say it all, because so far we've raised nearly $300 million. With the $300 million we've raised, we've already spearheaded 50 phase 1 and 2 trials of 25 drugs. 6 drugs have been approved by FDA. Remember, it takes 10 years to get one drug approved. And with those drugs, we've nearly tripled the lifespan of our patients. That feels really good to extend patients' lifespans.
Why is now the time for a cure? We've always heard it's coming, it's coming.
I think in all of my decades working in healthcare, I've never seen a time like this that is so positive. If you look around us, technology is booming. So genomic sequencing, now so much more precise and less expensive, so we can do it much more. Companies are innovating. So if you look at the pharma and biotech pipelines, new targeted therapies, new immune-based therapies, and then really importantly, the patients are engaging. So, we look around and we say to patients, it's your tissue, it's your data. If you raise your hands for clinical trials, we put speed in the system. So all of those elements working together, amazing time.
You mentioned not common, having to aggregate what data was out there. Yeah. What role now does the MMRF play in research?
Such a critical role, because now we're really passionate about big data and open access. So we spearheaded a COMPASS trial, and 800 patients have already been enrolled. We are following them, collecting their genotypic data and their clinical data longitudinally. Super hard to do, but now we've generated the largest data set in myeloma in the world. We push it all out to the public domain for everybody to share, and now you've got thousands of scientists that can look for new insights together. That is the way to speed a cure, absolutely.
We know this isn't easy, so what are the big obstacles? What's the greatest obstacle right now?
It's amazing to me that with the help of the entire myeloma community and many experts, we have built a phenomenal plan. We know exactly the models to use. We know which trials we want to get done. It's the funding, and Carl, only 10% of patients right now donate to the MMRF.
10%?
10%. Imagine if we got that to 100% and we had the funding, we could move like that so much faster.
Kathy, it's good having you here today.
Great to be here.
We are honored to share with you an amazing film about the MMRF's work from the perspectives of the research community and from the patient and caregiver's perspective.
Cancer sucks. It just sucks. And it just sucks worse when it's your father or your friend or, you know, someday you. It's just, it's a part of life, and with this particular form of cancer, there is a lot of hope and a lot of things on the horizon, and it's really exciting. But it needs support, like, you know, like anything.
At the MMRF, we saw a cancer research system that was broken. We understand that academic centers have to publish in order to keep their businesses going. We understand that pharmaceutical companies have shareholders they need to report to. But at the end of the day, what we did as a trusted third party was we brought academic centers, pharmaceutical companies, patients all together and said, what can unite us?
The traditional way of doing scientific research was pretty linear. You'd work in your own lab, you'd collect results, you'd write a paper, you'd submit the paper would get reviewed, it would finally come out, and only then would everybody know what you were doing. Well, that takes a very long time to spread knowledge. What's so important and what's so exciting, what MMRF has done such a good job of pushing, is the idea that as soon as you get a piece of information, you should be sharing that. The people should be working together. It's the difference between a cycle time that might be a year and a cycle time that might be weeks. It means we get so many more turns of the cycle, and progress goes so much faster if people share.
We're now in a position not just to double lifespan, but triple, quadruple, get patients longer remissions and cures.
You look at the outcome improvements in multiple myeloma, a disease that was almost considered untreatable. Now to see patients getting therapies that are actually relatively mild and having their lives extended by decades, that is actually a return, right? Someone is actually taking the funding support and actually getting real results. And they're tangible results that you can see and you can feel and you can touch.
A cure is what's absolutely necessary. Companies who look at this and say, you know, it takes over a decade and $1 billion to develop a drug. How could you do it in less than 5 years with less than $100 million? And that's what the MMRF stands for.
To see the progress in multiple myeloma over the course of the past decade or so is really stunning. To watch the secrets of multiple myeloma begin to get exposed by looking at its genome, to watch the development of multiple new chemical agents turning into drugs over the course of a relatively short period, this is stunning. The speed with which progress is happening in this field because the field is coming together, because MMRF is driving everybody to work toward a common goal, it's really encouraging. This should be happening in every cancer, but I'm mighty glad it's happening in multiple myeloma right now. It is a model for how we should be doing things.
And there is not a better time than right now. We drive toward results. We have never let anyone down. And we will continue to be a winning team, never taking our foot off the pedal as we accelerate cures.
I try to have a normal life, not complain. I've been very fortunate, but you know, every once in a while it comes back and haunts me. Probably like every other day.
It just really was an ambush, and one that I don't think anybody who knew him was prepared for, and he definitely wasn't prepared for it.
I've never felt more vulnerable in my life. And that's a kind of a strange feeling, and dependent on people that I normally wouldn't be dependent on.
He ran marathons and raised his sons and was just a, you know, brilliant guy. And and now it's up to other good-hearted people.
Kathy's received my calls a few times when I get in those mind frames when I am looking for hope.
In the case of this foundation, it's led by somebody who's lived through it and is living with it and has a severe intolerance for the things that are getting in the way of solving it. Without a doubt, MMRF is going to have played a huge role in the defeat of this, without a doubt. It's a great place to support, and that's what anybody asks for when they're given any kind of diagnosis like this. It's like, just give me some hope.
When I was first diagnosed in some of those initial meetings, one of the oncologists was trying to comfort me, and he said, Kent,
he said, you're going to see your man, it was because it like nailed everybody when he said that he would see his grandkids graduate from high school. And my dad said, which one?
Matt has some young daughters. The youngest is 3. So if I can see her graduation, which would be from high school, now from college now, let's call it college, that could be 18 or 19 years from now, and I'd take that in a heartbeat.
Soon after that, my wife and I had another baby, and we were like, this is the one. So that's what we're shooting for. I want them to know my dad.
What a powerful testament to why the MMRF does what it does. In the end, it's really about the patient. We now understand the opportunities presenting themselves and the incredible opportunity to accelerate cures. Walter joins us now. I know everyone must be intrigued to learn more about the plan. How do you take this vision of a cure and make it a reality, Walter?
Well, Carl, today, where we are with myeloma, and in fact many cancers, is at a point that's very reminiscent of where we were with HIV and the AIDS virus back in almost 20 years ago. So in 1996, when I was working in that field, over the course of about 5 years, we saw a tremendous transformation. In that short period of time, we moved from patients having maybe a death sentence, 6 months or less to live, to living for a decade or longer. And that was because we were able to develop new classes of drugs and combine them together in patients for the first time. And at the same time, develop an ultrasensitive blood test to help us really detect this virus in ways we hadn't before. We are at that same transformational time in myeloma today. And what we've done is work with the best cancer scientists worldwide, in academia, in industry, in government, to form a bold new plan, a plan that's going to help us drive to cures faster than we ever have before. It involves 3 main pillars. The first pillar is a data bank, a repertoire that's uncompromised in terms of its quality and representative information about myeloma, and including patient samples. The second is a learning network, one that brings together the brightest teams to urgently develop and apply new discoveries from this data bank and other sources. And the third is the clinic. That's where it all happens. That's where breakthrough treatments for patients are delivered faster than ever before.
That strategy on the clinic, what happens there? Walk me through that just a little bit more.
So the clinic is actually where, when you talked about earlier, raising that $100 million, most of the funding is going to go. That has one specific goal, to speed the most promising and powerful treatments faster than we have ever before for all myeloma patients, and in fact, many other cancers at the same time.
We're looking at the data bank here as well.
The data bank is actually the first installment of the 3 pillars. And the data bank is really critical because myeloma is complex. At least 50 genetic mutations comprise the average sample that comes out of a patient's bone marrow. That complexity, combined with the fact that myeloma is smart, so that it evolves, it changes based on what we try to attack it with, and the fact that it evolves differently in every individual patient, that complexity, to overcome that kind of complexity and drive to cures, requires uncompromised and never before seen quality as well as quantity of patient health information with myeloma and tissue samples, molecular information on this myeloma cancer. With that information, we can unlock and drive discoveries faster than ever before and have a repertoire that's more comprehensive than virtually any other cancer today. With that in place, and we have the beginnings of it with the Genomics Initiative and our COMPASS study, we have to go to the next level. We have to go big and broad if we want to drive to cures quickly. And the only way to do that, thanks to this campaign, is to develop a first ever national multiple myeloma registry that brings together patients of all types with all stages of disease and brings their health information over the course of these next 3 years together with high quality tissue samples. That information together will help us move forward in ways that we haven't before. Any patient can participate regardless of where they are located. This national registry will be a simple way for these patients to store, display, and share this information. And most importantly, things that haven't ever been done before for patients, this registry will include a diagnostic test that will help patients understand their genomic information, their mutations, and actually share that with their doctors. With this national registry, patients can become part of the solution for themselves with myeloma and part of the solution for all patients.
The Learning Network, how does that come into play?
So data is important, but it's a starting point. What we need to do is to bring together the best and brightest researchers and doctors from industry, academia, and government institutions, as well as community clinics, along with patients in an integrated learning network to revolutionize 3 critical areas that haven't changed in the last decade. The first is how we discover new targets, new biomarkers, and pathways to overcome myeloma. By bringing together proven partners like TGen, the Broad Institute, along with powerful leading technology companies, as well as big data analytics companies, we can integrate these teams together to build models that discover where myeloma is most vulnerable so we can attack it differently and better. Second, we need to generate actual products from these discoveries, products that we can use and move forward very effectively and quickly for patients. So by working and connecting the best and leading centers and with the most advanced tools with industry scientists, together we can turn these breakthrough discoveries into actual diagnostic tests and novel drugs faster than ever before for patients. The third happens to deal exclusively with patients. How do we make sure that all patients get the highest standard of care, regardless of where they are and regardless of what kind of myeloma they have? Only by bringing together large community clinics, health systems, and providers to unleash the data bank's full power, its longitudinal information, so that all patients can access the best care. We can democratize care based on the results of hundreds of patients like them with either approved drugs or investigational drugs. What brings this entire learning network together, what underpins it all, is the Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation Researcher Gateway. This enables open data access that Kathy talked about earlier, continual data sharing, and state-of-the-art analysis. The pieces are all there. The partners are in place. They just need to be connected together and incentivized to break through discoveries for patients.
But the takeaway is, in 3 years, I can know what kind of myeloma I have, I can have a treatment plan, and I can be part of some kind of dynamic network? That's the idea?
That's the idea, and we want to make sure, as part of that continuum, the drugs that are going to transform how you're treated and transform your trajectory that lead you to a cure are available faster than we ever have before. And that's where the clinic really comes in, Carl. So the 3 critical areas to make that clinic happen fast have to do with a portfolio approach that doesn't involve just one front against cancer and myeloma, but involves not just 2, but actually 3. 3 different approaches in terms of new therapies that need to be brought to bear. One is new classes of drugs, like we're talking about with HIV, to attack myeloma in different ways. The second is harnessing the greatest fighting machine nature's ever invented, our own immune systems, to attack myeloma, because, in fact, myeloma is a cancer that usurps the immune system. So what better way and what better tool to attack it with? And then third, and most importantly, are targeted therapies that go after the specific mutations that drive myeloma and disease progression, as well as address and drive disease in other cancers as well.
It's fascinating, Walter. Thank you very much for walking us through that, Walter Capone. It is simply extraordinary how the MMRF is constantly innovating to take advantage of new opportunities, particularly in technology. It's clear that these models will have a profound impact in transforming the landscape of cancer research. So we move on here to Paul Giusti in just a moment, who can walk us through both the strategic and the tactical moves behind the campaign. And a reminder, as we said at the very top, while the MMRF has raised $50 million for the campaign so far, that does, of course, mean there is $50 million more to go. Paul, it's good to see you.
Carl, it's so good to be here.
Thank you. So as the volunteer chairman of this campaign, what are your thoughts when you hear what Kathy and Walter have said?
Well, Carl, I mean, I think when you listen to everything, it's a time of just enormous progress, and it's such an exciting time. And I would say, though, it goes beyond just being hopeful for me, because it's one thing to say, well, I hope that we're going to make progress, or I hope that we're going to find a cure. But to me, I think it's that I feel confident. I feel confident that we're going to make progress. I'm going to feel confident that we're going to find a cure. And I say that because what I've observed after being around the foundation for so long, that if you get the best science and technology coupled with the best people and put together the best funding, and you have everyone working together toward this common goal, you have this enormous momentum. I mean, things converge. You really get to this tipping point where you start not just making these small leaps, but you make these big, big leaps in technology. Things accelerate and just get that much faster. You get closer to a cure, but you really do need all three. You need the science, you need the people, and you do really need the funding. And that's why I volunteered my efforts, because we just have to continue. If without the funding, this progress just slows, or it just in some critical research just stops, and that's just not acceptable. We need to move forward for all the patients.
It really is the mother's milk of research. There's no way around that. For those who are listening right now, and they're hearing about the MMRF, maybe for the first time, maybe not, what message do you want them to hear?
Well, the thing that I always tell people is to, number one, get informed, and number two, get involved. Because there's nothing more powerful than if you have really dedicated, knowledgeable, informed people that just have this laser focus on a common goal. So what I tell people as a starting place is just go to the website. Go to the www.themmrf.org/now. And that when people go there and they understand, number one, how efficiently the money's being used, number two, the groundbreaking progress that's being made, and finally, just these innovative plans for the future that Walter talked about, that Kathy talked about, I think when they're informed, they just agree with so many other people that there really is no better place to fund research, there's no better place to provide the financial support, and they can really join us in really helping to lead the way.
Anything else you want to add?
Well, I think the thing for me, Carl, that's so important, and you know this, this is all very personal. It's very personal with me, and I just want to take just a minute just to talk about my family's experience with cancer. And I want to say that not because it's so different than everybody else, but because it's a common story that people all over the world share when they have cancer. Because Kathy, she was diagnosed back in 1996. And when she was diagnosed, we had a little one-year-old daughter, and we're told, you have multiple myeloma. And back then, there's no internet, so this information's not available. And I can still remember Kathy and I sitting on the floor of a Borders bookstore, and you look, and there's one paragraph about multiple myeloma. It says, multiple myeloma is cancer of the bone marrow, that it's uniformly fatal, and that you have 3 years to live. And as a young family, you get that. I mean, that just changes your life. And I think you've heard this before, but Kathy wrote birthday cards to Nicole, our little one-year-old, for every year going forward, because she never thought she would be there to see Nicole on those birthdays. And Kathy, over the years, she's gone through high-dose chemotherapy. She's gone through a bone marrow transplant. We've seen many friends that have died from multiple myeloma and cancer, and it's been hard. But the thing I guess I find hopeful is you fast forward to today. And I'll just say personally, our little daughter Nicole now is a junior at Boston College. Our son David is a senior in high school, and as Matt Damon said, and talking about Kent, That was a graduation that's coming up this spring that Kathy never thought she would see. But you look at the work of the MMRF, and it just makes you so much more confident about the future. Because I know the vision that all of us share. It's a future where you have multiple myeloma, and if you have it sometime in the future, it's not it's a death sentence. You're told that, you know, someday in the future, multiple myeloma and maybe cancer in general, is just a chronic disease you can treat. And maybe someday in the future that they just look and they say, you know what, it's okay, because we have a cure. And I just think that if we all work together now, if we raise the money, we support the research, that vision can become a reality. But we really do need to do it now.
Well, on behalf of anyone who's involved or who's ever heard of the MMRF, the work you guys do continues to astound. Thanks for communicating it so well today. Paul, Kathy, Walter, thank you so much. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.